Yeah, obviously we're very pleased with the verdict, but I think it's important to first note that there's no reason to celebrate today. The events of August 6, 2010 were without question a tragedy for every single person involved. First and foremost, it was an unimaginable tragedy for the family of Eric Wells, his wife Louisa, his parents Aaron and Mary. Likewise, it was a tragedy for Mary Mills and Kurt Weekly, whose lives have been forever altered by the injuries they sustained on that day. But I think we also need to recognize and acknowledge it's a tragedy for the family of Officer Bisard himself, and our police department. We take no pleasure in prosecuting a police officer, and it should never ever be suggested that Officer Bisard is an evil person in any way. But all of us, whether a police officer, an attorney, a teacher, or otherwise, must accept responsibility for their actions. And the message of the verdict is clearly that Officer Bisard will accept responsibility and be accountable for his actions on that day. And I also would like just to note that to commend our prosecution team, our deputy prosecutors, Denise Robinson, Mark Hollingsworth, Jeremy Pacel, and Tom Hirschauer, and Sergeant Eustis. We could not be more proud of the professional way in which they conducted themselves and presented this trial.
Mr. Curry, are you at all surprised by this verdict? There were obvious flaws in the evidence. The defense raised a very spirited case, raised a lot of doubts. Are you surprised at all by this?
Well, not surprised. I mean, clearly we've discussed from day one that there's just that fundamental conflict between the observations of dozens and dozens of individuals at the scene versus the blood alcohol. And we certainly have believed that the blood alcohol was the compelling evidence, and it would appear that the jury has agreed.
Will you make a sentencing recommendation to the judge?
I'm certain we will, but it's premature to discuss it at this time. We'll sit down. Obviously, probation will do a pre-sentence report. We'll sit down with the family, and at some point, I'm certain we'll have a recommendation at the time of sentencing.
Does David Bisard need to go to prison?
Well, he having been convicted of the B felony, that is a non-suspendable offense. So that carries a sentence of 6 to 20 years, and so certainly under the law, he's looking at a minimum of a 6-year executed sentence.
The victim family members were weeping and hugging when the verdicts were read. Did you talk to them? What will you say to them? What did you say about justice in Marion County?
Well, and to answer your question, yes. I have not spoken with the families after the verdict. I actually spoke with Aaron and Mary right before the verdict. And from day one, it was very important to us to restore confidence in our office, both generally and with the families, because clearly they were cynical about what had transpired, both in terms of the investigation itself and the dismissal of the case. And so I think it's more than fair to say that we reestablished that line of trust with them. And obviously I'll not speak for them, but I'm certain they're exceedingly pleased with the verdict.
Does this say anything to police officers who are out there working for us, but they know what they can and cannot do?
Well, clearly this whole process has been marked by a number of missteps, whether intentional or not. I'm not here to judge today, but it would be our hope that our police department can now move forward, and I'm confident under the leadership of Troy Riggs and Chief Height that we're headed in the right direction and can help restore that image of our department in Marion County.